Between shadows and silence, the human body begins to whisper its secrets. Across deserts, jungles, and hidden villages, there are people whose forms defy every rule of nature, lips stretching like circles of clay, necks rising tall as pillars, arms and legs that seem sculpted by something beyond human design. Scientists call it mutation, historians call it culture, the locals call it beauty, pride, or sometimes a curse. But no matter the name, these bodies tell a story, one of mystery, pain, and resilience. From the sun-burned valleys of Ethiopia to the misty hills of Myanmar, from the crowded streets of India to the silent hospitals of London, humanity has always danced on the edge between creation and chaos. Tonight, we step into that edge, where tradition meets biology, and where the human form becomes the most mysterious landscape of all. The giant lip plates of the Omo Valley, where beauty meets pain. In the scorching heart of southern Ethiopia lies the Omo Valley, a landscape of dust, fire, and ancient rhythm. Here, among the Mursi and Surma tribes, women carry a tradition that has stunned travelers for over a century. The lip plate. At first glance, it looks almost unreal. A smooth disc of clay pressed into the lower lip, stretching the flesh until it forms a perfect circle. The process begins in adolescence. A small cut, a small plate. Then, as the years pass, the plate grows larger, sometimes reaching the size of a dinner bowl. To outsiders, it may appear as torture, but to the women of the Omo, it is beauty, a mark of strength, identity, and womanhood. Anthropologists have long debated its origins. Some claim it was meant to discourage slave traders centuries ago. Others believe it honors fertility and social rank. Yet, behind the calm faces and painted skin, there is an unspoken truth, pain, infection, and the constant tension between tradition and survival. Modern influences creep into the valley. Younger generations question the practice, torn between pride and change. Still, in the golden light of dusk, when the Mursi women stand by the river, their lips adorned with plates as wide as their smiles, one can't help but wonder, are we witnessing a vanishing ritual or the last echo of humanity's ancient desire to transcend its own form? The long-necked women of the Karen tribe, the price of beauty. Deep within the misty hills along the border of Myanmar and northern Thailand, the sound of metal softly rings each morning, the whisper of brass coils brushing against skin. Here live the Karen, or more precisely the Padaung people, known to the world as the long-neck women. From the age of 5 or 6, young girls begin wearing heavy brass rings around their necks. Every few years, new coils are added, pushing the shoulders down, making the neck appear impossibly long, sometimes over 20 centimeters from base to chin. To outsiders, it is both mesmerizing and unsettling. But for the Karen, the coils carry stories. They mark beauty, tribal identity, and protection. Some legends say the rings guard against tiger attacks. Others believe they keep evil spirits from entering the body, yet, as modern science reveals, the neck itself doesn't actually stretch. It's the rib cage collapsing under years of weight. Removing the rings can even make it hard to hold the head upright. Tourists flock to see these women, cameras flashing, curiosity and discomfort intertwining. Many of the younger Karen girls now question the practice, seeing it as a cage made of gold, both heritage and burden. But when the sun sets over the bamboo roofs and the last shimmer of brass catches the light, you can sense something profound, a quiet defiance, a belief that beauty is not defined by comfort, but by meaning carried across generations. The stretched ears of the Maasai, when gravity becomes a tradition. Across the sweeping plains of Kenya and Tanzania, where the savanna glows red under the setting sun, the Maasai people move with grace, tall, proud, and adorned with color. Among their most striking features are their elongated earlobes, stretched by years of wearing heavy jewelry made of stone, bone, and metal. For the Maasai, these are not mere ornaments. They're emblems of beauty, age, and wisdom. The larger the opening, the greater the respect. The process begins early in life. A small hole is pierced into the earlobe, and gradually, larger and heavier objects are inserted. Wooden plugs, ivory discs, even small stones found on the ground. Over time, the earlobes stretch, sometimes reaching lengths that dangle almost to the shoulders. It's a slow transformation, a conversation between body and gravity. To the modern eye, it might seem extreme, yet for the Maasai, it's a quiet declaration of identity. The stretched ears connect generations, echoing through songs, dances, and rituals of passage. But as urban life spreads and Western influence grows, many young Maasai have begun to abandon this custom, seeing it as a relic of the past. Still, elders continue to wear their elongated ears proudly, their faces lined with stories, their ornaments shining like history itself. Perhaps that's the paradox of human beauty, forever torn between tradition and transformation, between the body we inherit and the one we choose to shape. The scarred bodies. Language written on human skin. In the remote corners of Africa, Papua New Guinea, and even parts of Australia, the skin itself becomes a canvas, a living story carved by blade and fire. The ancient art of scarification transforms the body into a map of memory. Tiny cuts are made along the chest, arms, or face, and ash or soot is rubbed into the wounds so they heal as raised scars. The result is striking. Intricate patterns that shimmer when light touches them, forming symbols of courage, adulthood, and belonging. Among the Karo tribe of the Omo Valley, men bear scars that mark every battle fought. Among the women, the raised lines across their stomachs represent beauty and fertility. In Papua New Guinea, the Chambri people carve crocodile patterns into their skin, believing it connects them to the spirit of the predator, strength born from pain. But beyond the cultural meaning lies something deeply human, the desire to make the invisible visible. Each cut is a declaration. I was here. I endured. Modern medicine calls it unnecessary, even dangerous. Yet for many communities, scarification is identity itself. Today, as globalization spreads and traditions fade, the scars remain like whispers of a forgotten language, one written not with ink, but with blood and resilience. Perhaps it reminds us that the human body has always been more than flesh. It is a story, written in pain, pride, and the will to be remembered. The Boy with Giant Hands, a medical mystery in India. In a small town in eastern India, a boy named Kaleem was born with hands that seemed to belong to a giant. At first, his parents thought it was just swelling, something that would fade with time. But as he grew, so did his hands. By the time he was 8 years old, each hand weighed more than 12 kilograms, his fingers thick and curled, larger than his own face. Everyday tasks, eating, writing, even tying a shirt, became impossible. Doctors from across the country examined him. Some called it macrodactyly, a rare condition where bone and tissue grow uncontrollably. Others suspected a hormonal disorder or a genetic mutation no one had seen before. Yet no treatment could stop the relentless growth. It's like his body doesn't know when to stop. One specialist said, despite the stares, the fear, and the whispers, Kaleem's smile remained unchanged. He said he wanted to become a teacher, to prove that difference doesn't define destiny. Scientists have since studied his case in hopes of unlocking new knowledge about human growth, but answers remain elusive. What causes one child's body to rebel against its own proportions? Why does nature sometimes amplify what it should balance? Perhaps hidden within this mystery lies a reminder that the human form, as fragile as it seems, still carries secrets vast as the universe itself. The Elephant Man. The tragic majesty of a giant body. London, 1884. Beneath the dim glow of gas lamps, crowds gathered to witness something they could hardly believe, a man whose body defied human proportion. His name was Joseph Merrick, but the world knew him only as the Elephant Man. His skin hung in heavy folds, his bones twisted grotesquely, and one side of his face had grown into a massive, shapeless mass. Yet behind that disfigured exterior was a gentle, intelligent soul who longed only to be treated as human. For decades, his condition baffled doctors. Some thought it was elephantiasis, others a curse. It wasn't until more than a century later that scientists discovered the truth. A mutation in the Proteus gene causing certain cells to grow endlessly while others remained normal. A biological error, or a window into how fragile human design truly is. Merrick spent most of his life hidden from the world, displayed in circuses, whispered about in horror. But when physician Frederick Trevis took him under his care, the story changed. Behind closed doors, they spoke of art, poetry, and faith. Merrick once said softly, "I am not an animal, I am a human being." His life became a haunting symbol of suffering, compassion, and the cruel beauty of imperfection. Even today, as scientists study the Proteus syndrome, his legacy lingers, proof that within the most distorted shell can dwell the purest reflection of humanity. The woman with unusually long limbs, an enigma from Brazil. In the outskirts of São Paulo, a video once surfaced online. A woman walking through a crowded market, her arms and legs impossibly long, her movements graceful yet unsettling. Her proportions seemed to break the rules of anatomy. Her legs stretched nearly twice the length of her torso, her fingers extended like delicate branches. Locals whispered that she was cursed, touched by spirits from the forest. Others claimed she was simply a medical anomaly, a case of Marfan syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that causes the limbs to grow beyond natural scale. When journalists and doctors tried to locate her, the woman had already disappeared. No full medical records, no family, not even a confirmed name. Some say she avoided attention, fearing she'd become a spectacle. Others believe the footage was real but intentionally suppressed, a glimpse of something science wasn't ready to explain. Marfan syndrome does exist. It stretches bones, weakens the heart, and creates people whose silhouettes resemble walking myths. But this woman, whoever she was, seemed to push that boundary further, her limbs too long even for science's comfort. Was it a rare mutation, a hoax, or a story that lives somewhere between fact and folklore? In a world where cameras capture everything, her vanishing feels almost poetic, as if she stepped out of our reality, leaving behind only questions and the haunting image of a body that refused to obey human proportion. Technology, genetics, and the future of human transformation. As science advances, the line between natural deformity and intentional transformation grows thinner every year. In laboratories across the world, geneticists are decoding the blueprints of the human body, the same sequences that once produced the Elephant Man or the boy with giant hands. What was once random mutation can now be traced, edited, and in some cases, rewritten. Through CRISPR and gene therapy, scientists can silence faulty DNA, enhance growth, or even alter appearance before birth. But while medicine fights to correct deformities, another movement grows in the shadows, the body modification revolution. Artists and futurists willingly reshape themselves, implanting horns beneath their skin, splitting their tongues, extending ears, even undergoing surgeries to appear post-human. What was once viewed as deformity is now seen by some as self-expression. Humanity is no longer only correcting the body, it is redesigning it. Yet this raises an ancient question in a modern form. Should we, if we can change everything about our bodies, where does identity end and invention begin? Will future generations still be human in the way we understand it, or will they become the next step, a species sculpted by its own hand? Perhaps deformity, beauty, and evolution are all part of the same continuum. The human body is not a fixed design, it is a living experiment, one that has only just begun to realize its power to rewrite itself. When the body becomes a mirror of the soul. From the clay lips of the Omo Valley to the golden coils of the Karen Hills, from the scarred warriors of Papua to the silent hospitals of London, one truth echoes through every story. The human body is not just a vessel, it is a message. Every deformity, every stretch, every scar tells a fragment of who we are, of what we fear, and of what we dare to become. Science calls them mutations, culture calls them beauty, faith calls them signs. But perhaps they're all the same, reflections of a force within us that refuses to be ordinary. For centuries, humanity has struggled to define perfection, to measure normality. Yet, every time the world labels something as abnormal, the universe seems to whisper back, there is no such thing. Maybe the body was never meant to be perfect, only expressive. In its distortions, we glimpse resilience. In its mutations, we see creation still at work. And in those who carry these transformations, we see the courage to exist beyond comfort, beyond symmetry, beyond fear. So, when you look upon a body that seems strange or immense, remember, you are not witnessing a mistake of nature, but the vast imagination of life itself. The human form, in all its imperfection, remains the most mysterious masterpiece ever made. And somewhere out there, another story is beginning, waiting for us to discover, to question, and to wonder once more. As the final images fade, the long necks, the scarred skin, the giant hands and endless limbs, one thought lingers in the stillness. The human body is both fragile and infinite. Across every culture, every century, it has been shaped by pain, by pride, by mystery. Some bodies stretch toward heaven, others bear the marks of the earth, but all of them speaks in silence, in movement, in form of the same longing, to be seen, to be remembered. Perhaps that is the true secret behind every so-called deformity. Each one is a story the universe has chosen to tell in flesh instead of words. And as we close this journey, we realize the greatest mystery has never been out there, hidden in the stars, or buried beneath the ground. It has always lived here within us.